A student with a basketball asks if his friend is done yet, while the other furiously scribbles, begging for just a little more time. This basketball player looks over, unimpressed by the frantic display, telling him to just give up since it is cold outside anyway. Leaning on the ball, he jokes that his friend's name is the real problem, which his friend playfully questions, asking what he should change it to. Nearby, a strange conversation about flower envy and murder begins. As unseen speakers watch the two boys through a classroom window, weaving a dark metaphor about a jealous sky killing beautiful flowers. A story apparently learned from books and online videos, and the basketball player smirks, understanding the hidden meaning. Just then, his studious friend triumphantly finishes his work, but a question hangs in the air about why they came for them. Their plans are suddenly interrupted by a teacher announcing self-study, leaving another student to slump over his desk in utter defeat. His classmate frantically searches for something she lost. Frustrated, she explains something was stolen from her desk. A sudden realization hits him. She immediately suspects one of his friends. Elsewhere in the room, another student is questioned about a phone. Their teacher interrupts, telling them to be quiet. Scolded for disturbing the class, she looks down. Our boy settles back in, thinking it is an ordinary day. Or so he thought, until he senses something. Looking out the window, he sees black strands falling. Startled, he tries to warn his classmate. His eyes widen as he realizes the danger. At the front of the room, the teacher suddenly stops, his form beginning to twist and contort unnaturally, and the entire class looks up in absolute horror. This teacher reacts in disbelief, trying to control the class, as a student with glasses stands up, questioning the commotion. Outside on the field, a grotesque creature has appeared, its horrifying, tooth-filled maw letting out a silent scream. Drawn by the sight, the entire class crowds the window. This teacher frantically shouts for order while checking his phone, his expression darkening as he stares at the screen. A message fails to send, the network is completely dead. Students ignore him, speculating on what the thing could be, and our boy watches intently, a cold sweat on his brow. Suddenly, a strange black orb materializes in the classroom. It hangs ominously in the air, silent and unknown. Everyone is paralyzed, staring at this new impossibility, while the teacher blocks the door, screaming for them to stay put. But one student's hand trembles, furiously scribbling in a notebook. This blonde student notices his classmate shivering uncontrollably, her face turning deathly pale as she pants for breath, desperately trying to get her to snap out of her daze. But another student with glasses suddenly shouts at him, as Choi Jiang-soo tries to help Kim Soo-jin up. A strange black sphere materializes above her head, then her eyes turn completely black, her face twisting, and he stumbles back in pure horror at the sight, while other students stare, wondering what is happening to her. In a flash, her body gruesomely transforms, leaving the boy with glasses completely stunned. Choi Jiang-soo scrambles backwards, falling to the floor. This entire class frozen by the terrifying spectacle. A monstrous hand slams down onto a desk, revealing the creature she has become before them all. This creature, once their classmate, now stands fully formed. Her friends can only stare, paralyzed by sheer terror. A book slips from someone's grasp, hitting the floor with a thud. One girl screams, unable to comprehend the nightmare before her. Chaos explodes as the entire class scrambles for their lives. In the stampede, students shove past each other desperately. This boy with glasses gets hit, his vision blurred for a moment. On the floor, a girl pleads for help, her body frozen in fear. He asks if she is injured, but her legs have simply given out. Frustration and terror mix on his face as the situation worsens. Choi Jiang-soo and others try to navigate the panicked crowd. With a terrifying shriek, the monster lashes out with a shadowy limb. Their teacher screams for everyone to get out of the classroom now, but one student is caught in the attack, stumbling as he is struck. Choi Jiang-soo turns back, his eyes wide with utter disbelief. This creature strikes first, impaling a student with a dark tendril. His classmates recoil in horror at the sudden, bloody violence, sending the entire room into a panic stampede for the door. But the victim is lifted helplessly into the air, dangling upside down before the horrifying monster. Its massive jaw unhinges, ready to consume him whole. Nearby, Choi Jiang-soo shields his terrified friend from the sight, his own face a mask of pure, unadulterated horror. With a sickening crunch, the creature bites down on its prey, leaving the student's body limp and lifeless in its grasp, as dark energy seems to drain from the corpse into the orb. This monster then casually discards the remains, crouching in the now empty classroom, scanning for more victims. Under a desk, Choi Jiang-soo desperately smothers his friend's cries. As the creature's head snaps around, alerted by the chaos outside, hiding under the desks, a boy desperately keeps his classmate quiet. As the headless creature stands ominously in the classroom, its black orb sinks down, revealing a horrifying, gaping maw. Elsewhere, a student in the bathroom is annoyed by the commotion, telling his friend the school sounds like it is collapsing. The two of them stand by the window, casually discussing the chaos, and the gray-haired student dares his friend to touch the source for cash. His friend instantly refuses the ridiculous offer, but the instigator just smirks, claiming it was only a joke. Through the window, they spot a different monster on the field, and the gray-haired student's expression suddenly changes. A sinister idea sparks behind his wicked smile. He then orders his friend to wake an unconscious boy on the floor, dismissing any concern about hurting him more, a twisted plan forming to satisfy his pure curiosity. A student walks steadily across the school's lawn while another, blindfolded, stumbles forward questioning his task. From a balcony, two others mock his clumsy progress. This observers laugh, one filming the entire cruel prank. His friend suddenly gets nervous, worried about the consequences, because their victim now stands before the massive creature. This other scoffs, pointing out the monster is completely still, and with a cruel grin tells his friend to just keep recording. On the field, the blindfolded boy takes another hesitant step, nearly losing his balance as he struggles to continue. He tries to steady his nerves, unsure of what is happening, until his hand touches something sharp and monstrous. Meanwhile, in the classroom, Choi Jiang-soo hides with his classmate. This creature that was once Sujin stands ominously still. As the black sphere descends, forming a terrifying new head, this boy with glasses stares, sweat beading on his face, as the creature that was Sujin now perches above them. He desperately shouts at the screaming girl to get moving. This monster strikes in a blur of motion, its hand smashing a desk to splinters, unleashing a dark tendril that smashes the wall right behind him. Debris showers past as he stares in absolute shock, looking up at the gaping hole in the classroom wall. Seeing an escape route, he tries to get his classmate to move, but the girl is lost in terror, crying for her mother, realizing she is too broken by fear to even stand. A sudden noise makes him look back in alarm, finding the creature crawling over the desks right at them. A terrible realization dawns on him: they cannot both escape. Staring at his trembling classmate, he weighs their impossible odds. A girl lies paralyzed on the floor, unable to move. As her friend slowly backs away, abandoning her, he flees down the hall, leaving her trembling in the corner. Tears stream down her face as she whispers for her mother. This creature that was once Sujin looms over her, ready to strike, and she can only let out a final, desperate scream. Down the hall, someone hears the noise, annoyed by the disturbance, and a man with a bat arrives, thinking it is just a prank. His confidence shatters as he lays eyes on the monster inside. But before he can react, a dark limb pierces through his chest. His eyes widen in disbelief at the fatal wound. Inside, the creature crouches, having claimed another victim, leaving the blonde girl to sob, begging for someone to save her. Blood splatters the walls around her as the nightmare closes in, her last thoughts consumed by the desperate will to live. This boy with glasses grabs his terrified classmate, pulling her to her feet amidst the classroom debris, demanding to know where she could have possibly been, just as another student is dragged away by an unseen force. Meanwhile, the creature that was Sujin stands poised over a desk, its maw unhinging as it lunges for another victim, catching the boy midair with its shadowy tendrils, his body consumed in a flash of dark energy. This classroom is now a desolate, silent wreck, and in the corner, a storage cabinet remains closed. Inside, the two students hide in absolute terror, his fear turning to frustration as he threatens to leave her behind, but she begs him to check if the coast is clear. Thanking him for the rescue, admitting she thought she was dead, he just brushes it off, a new worry clouding his face. His classmate angrily asks if he was abandoning her. Arguing in hushed tones, she accuses him of trying to flee, and he apologizes, promising to make it up to her later. Through a crack, they see the trashed and empty classroom. A monstrous hand suddenly slams onto the floor nearby. Frozen in terror, they wonder if the creature has left, but the monster, once Sujin, is still crouching in the room. Thinking the coast is clear, his hand slowly reaches out, and he carefully cracks the door open to peek outside. From above, they are seen huddled inside the tight space, only to see the monster's horrifying face staring right back. Slamming the door shut, he realizes they have no escape. Panic sets in as his mind races for an impossible solution, until a strange sound from above catches his attention. A sliver of light pierces the darkness from the top of the locker. Choi Jiang-soo stares into the darkness, hoping the monster is gone, wondering if they have finally been left alone. His hand trembles as he realizes it is completely silent outside, but a sudden noise from the locker above shatters their hope, causing his classmate to let out a piercing scream. And he desperately begs for whatever is up there to stop. Meanwhile, the school building appears deceptively peaceful, until a massive explosion rips through an upper-floor classroom. Down on the school lawn, a student stands frozen in place. This blindfolded boy finally making contact with his target, his hand resting on the creature's sharp, monstrous hide. Dark energy immediately begins to swirl around him in wisps, while from the balcony, the bullies laugh at his success, their victim screaming in confusion as he feels the strange power. This gray-haired instigator just smirks, telling his friend to film the reaction. From the balcony, the gray-haired student taunts his victim below, laughing hysterically at his own cruel prank, but his laughter dies as he spots something unexpected. A huge explosion rips through a classroom wall, startling the blindfolded boy on the field below. He rips off the blindfold, staring at the chaos. Just as the creature from the classroom leaps from the building, his discarded blindfold fluttering through the air. On the balcony, the bully's cruel smirk vanishes, while other students watch the scene unfold in horror. This monster on the field begins to stir, its orb cracking. A girl at the window realizes it is a person down there, watching the lone student stand before the creature, as a crowd gathers, unable to look away, just as the boy finally makes contact with the massive beast. This entire class freezes in shared terror, a single eye widening to reflect the nightmare outside. Everyone rushes to the window to see the source of the chaos, as a monster smashes through the school's outer wall. On the field, the blindfolded boy touches the creature's hide confused, his blindfold coming off to reveal the horrifying truth, while the beast lets out a deafening, earth-shaking roar. From the balcony, the gray-haired prankster's smirk is gone, replaced by the same paralyzing fear gripping his classmates. Its rampage continues on the lawn, completely unstoppable. Inside, students scream for help, for their parents, for the police, but the monster is already scaling the building towards them. Finally breaking, the prankster screams at his friend to run for it as debris rains down inside a now shattered classroom. And in a small closet, two students catch a fleeting breath, believing they are safe. This girl trembles, admitting she thought she was dead. Her classmate looks out at the completely destroyed wall, crawling forward to confirm the monster is now on the field. He gazes down at the school's athletic grounds, where the other creature sits completely motionless and silent. Suddenly, a stampede of students rushes past the doorway, and the girl panics at the sight of the unfolding chaos. She urges him to run before the creature comes back for them. But he is frozen, unsure where they could possibly escape to. His classmate insists they just need to get outside, though the monster on the field makes that a deadly gamble. Standing by the wreckage, he sees the terror on everyone's faces, realizing they are all just running without a plan, so he suggests they find their friends at the nurse's office first. But a voice behind them says there is no need for that. It is Kim Isin, arriving with a cocky, unsettling smile. And his classmate confronts him, demanding to know what he is doing here. She confirms the creature on the field is their classmate, Sujin. Her words send the other boy into a panic, screaming Isin's name, while the girl questions if he has even seen their destroyed classroom. Isin reveals his phone is dead, all communication completely cut off, stunning the other boy into silence as he takes charge. Three of them look down at the motionless beast on the field. And he decides they need to find a secure location to wait for rescue, but the girl asks if he has any actual place in mind. This group debates their options, the auditorium or the rooftop, leaving them frozen in the middle of the wrecked classroom, undecided. Isin suddenly interrupts, saying he has something to tell them, but his classmate snaps back, insisting they have no time to waste. He silences them, forcing them to consider a horrifying possibility, being trapped here for a month. This dark-haired student scoffs at their plan, saying they only have days. Pointing to the wreckage, the boy with glasses insists they hide in the auditorium, but his classmate questions why they are even thinking about hiding, suggesting they should be trying to get rescued instead, an idea she immediately dismisses as impossible in this chaos. This other boy agrees, saying a helicopter would take at least an hour, and she argues they cannot afford to wait that long, forcing the boy with glasses to concede her point. With a new plan, the dark-haired student suggests the cafeteria instead. But as they decide, the girl suddenly loses her balance, and her classmate quickly grabs her, asking if she is all right. This other student turns, noticing her legs have given out again, her brief moment of calm shattered by the overwhelming fear. He asks if she can walk, but she insists she is fine, her trembling hand gripping his arm, betraying her brave words. She admits her terror, realizing everyone is just enduring it, and he tells her she can walk, urging her to move with him. Through the shattered wall, the creature on the field sits motionless, so the students desperately race up the stairs to escape. She asks if the rooftop is even open, knowing bullies hang out there, when another student confronts them, questioning their reckless plan. Despite the uncertainty, he leads the way, urging them to follow. But a sudden, horrified thought stops him in his tracks. Arriving at the landing, they finally face the rooftop door. He grabs the handle, pulling on the locked door, but it is firmly shut, trapping them in the stairwell. Outside, smoke plumes rise from buildings all over the city, while up on the roof, other students are just standing around, including the gray-haired prankster and his friend, looking irritated. Nearby, another student panics, asking what they are supposed to do now. On the rooftop, they find other students already gathered, their faces all pale with fear and exhaustion. Suddenly, the boy with glasses lets out a curse, a grim realization dawning on the dark-haired student. He tells them to forget about rescue, it is not coming. His finger points towards the city skyline, directing their gaze to something far in the distance. Another monster perched atop a distant skyscraper. His classmates stare in disbelief, horrified by the sight. And the dark-haired student collapses, realizing the outbreak is citywide. Despair washes over him, wondering why he was left alone. Then he spots another student on the ground, trembling uncontrollably. It is the bully from the balcony, now broken and pleading for help. Far away, the distant monster remains a terrifying omen. While on another rooftop, more survivors watch the city burn. This boy with glasses denies the horrifying truth before him. But a girl explains the chaos was worse in another building. His eyes widen in fear, unable to comprehend, as a flashback shows a gaping hole in a nearby office. Inside, a man lies motionless on the floor, just as a monstrous hand reaches through the wreckage, its fingers closing around the man's head. This creature begins to drag him away, pulling him into the darkness outside the wall. Back on the roof, the student grips the bars, utterly broken, his thoughts racing to the safety of his own home. Beside him, a blonde girl asks if they are going to be all right, both of them staring out at the city in shared terror. They wonder if this is just their city or the entire world. Suddenly, the dark-haired student approaches, telling them to stop talking. This gray-haired prankster silences his friend with a cold threat. His aggressive gaze then falls on the other two students, grabbing the girl's head, threatening to feed her to the monster below. As she struggles, her classmate begs him to stop, but the bully just points with a sadistic grin. A sudden, vicious slap sends her reeling, leaving the boy with glasses completely paralyzed by shock. On the ground, she clutches her face, stunned by the violence, her eyes wide with a mixture of pain and disbelief. Standing over her, the prankster taunts her for her defiance, and her friend scrambles to shield her from another blow. A challenge the bully eagerly accepts, offering a punch instead. This boy with glasses is frozen, terror stealing his voice. Just then, a quiet voice orders them to stop, and another girl in a gray hoodie steps into the tense standoff. This gray-haired prankster and his friends confront a younger student, but a girl interrupts, reminding them someone just died here. Another boy seethes with rage, haunted by the death of his own friend. Turning his attention to Isin, the prankster is annoyed by his interference, challenging him with a smug, threatening grin. Nearby, the boy with glasses knows this is no time for fighting, his mind reeling from the overwhelming chaos and confusion, when suddenly the students all look up towards the sky, spotting a strange black orb just floating there. He stares, a terrible feeling of dread washing over him, remembering that orb is what creates the monsters. A horrifying realization that paralyzes him with fear. Silently, the sphere hangs in the air, a promise of more death, and he screams at his friends that they have to run now. Isin and the prankster are still locked in their standoff, oblivious to the new threat. This boy with glasses screams a dire warning that someone is about to transform, but his words are met with blank stares from the other students on the roof, leaving two of them terrified, one urging they just leave. This gray-haired prankster and his crew just laugh it off. A dark-haired student's face pales with a sudden realization, as the boy with glasses reveals the creature on the field is their classmate, Sujin. With that, the dark-haired student bolts away from the bullies, while the boy with glasses and his friend desperately follow suit. And seeing the panic, the girl in the hoodie urges her friend to run, but the gray-haired bully suddenly blocks her path. His face twists into a cruel, unsettling smirk, leaving the girl frozen by his intimidating presence, until a hand clamps down hard on his shoulder. This bully's turn in shock, completely caught off guard, just as another student on the field collapses, convulsing violently. This convulsing student's eyes turn black, his transformation beginning. Seeing this, the boy with glasses screams for everyone to run. Isin lunges forward, trying to get to the door. But as he reaches it, a monstrous arm appears behind him. He turns, his face a mask of pure shock, while the gray-haired prankster and his friend watch, stunned. Another student near the door is frozen in terror, and the creature's hand slams down, grabbing him by the head. It reveals its grotesque form, claiming its first rooftop victim. All the bully's arrogance vanishes, replaced by raw fear. Only Isin remains standing, facing the new monster, prompting the boy with glasses to scream his name in warning. Finally, Isin breaks his stance and bolts for the door, triggering a desperate stampede as everyone flees in panic. He stumbles through the doorway, barely escaping the chaos. This dark-haired student turns, recognizing the convulsing boy. His friend with glasses screams for him to get moving, but his gaze is fixed on the monster outside the door, his mind connecting the dots in horror. Back on the roof, the boy with glasses is violently thrown against the fence, revealing a newly transformed student, a monstrous figure now standing among them. On the ground, the boy with glasses chokes, reeling from the blow, his face contorted with rage as he vows revenge. A terrifying memory flashes through his mind, a different creature, its gaping maw a vision of pure dread. Meanwhile, in the stairwell, the transformed Hong Jinkyu attacks, and the dark-haired student shoves his friend to safety, telling her to stay back. Out on the field, the prankster confronts him, furious at his reckless actions. But something has changed in the dark-haired student's eyes. Just as the girl in the hoodie throws him a weapon, a knife glinting in his hand, this girl in the hoodie screams a desperate warning to get back, her cry catching Isin's attention in a moment of pure shock, as the newly transformed student looms over his terrified classmate. On the ground, the boy with glasses struggles to tell her to escape, but she is paralyzed, unable to believe this is happening, when the dark-haired student rushes in, stun gun crackling with energy, only to stop short, his attack faltering in confusion. This creature's tendril whips past him, launching the girl skyward, its sharp tip piercing straight through her chest in a brutal strike. Frozen in place, the boy with glasses can only watch in horror, this gruesome scene splattering across the other stunned students. Now the creature holds its victim before the gray-haired bully, its massive jaw unhinging to devour her whole, a sight that shatters the bully's arrogant smirk, leaving only a horrifying silhouette against the blood-red sky. A student trembles, clutching a blackboard eraser, his eyes fixed on the monstrous form of his classmate on the field, his hands sweating, gripping the only weapon he has. When the girl in the hoodie suddenly snatches it and charges forward, leaving the boy with glasses crouched on the ground in utter terror. Above them, the creature's head turns, its black orb pulsing, but the girl sprints on, closing the distance to its massive leg. This eraser in her hand now crackles with a strange blue power, and she slams it against the monster's flesh with all her might. Its jagged maw opens, the orb above it glowing intensely, unleashing a barrage of deadly black spikes in every direction. Her face drains of color, a silent scream of pure horror, as the projectiles tear up the ground all around her. Other students scramble for cover, desperately trying to escape the onslaught, while the girl reaches out, her last desperate act before the end. Trapped by a cage of black spikes, the girl stares up in horror. Inside, two other students scream, witnessing the carnage on the roof. Through the deadly projectiles, the sky seems impossibly calm, but on the ground she realizes someone shielded her from the blast. Isen gasps for air, having thrown himself in front of her at the last second. This girl rushes to the boy with glasses, asking if he is alright, just as one of the spikes suddenly retracts into the ground. He points in alarm, shouting that the projectiles are pulling back. A signal Isen recognizes, screaming for everyone to run now. Above the monster, the black orb reabsorbs its deadly arsenal. This boy with glasses tries to flee, but the girl grabs his arm, so he helps her up, repaying her for saving him earlier. Across the roof, the remaining students make a mad dash for the door, where Isen turns back, confused by a sudden stop in the escape. As the monster contorts, a new, massive tendril sprouting from its back. Trapped in the doorway, the dark-haired student seethes with rage, while the boy with glasses screams for them to get moving. A surge of fury propelling the dark-haired student forward, as the creature outside unleashes a deadly projectile. He shoves his friends just as a black spike impales the boy with glasses, telling him to just relax his body, and with a powerful heave he throws them both toward the door, sending them tumbling as he kicks the door wide open. His hand slams onto the doorknob, pulling it shut, sealing himself outside with the monsters. Leaning against the door, he gasps, realizing how close that was. Two other students stare at him in total disbelief. While on the floor, his friends try to process the sacrifice. Asked where the others went, the boy with glasses explains they all fled. Now the dark-haired student turns back to the locked door, ready to break it down. Isen glances back, a chilling realization dawning on him, while in the stairwell his friends scream to get away from the door. A blonde girl panics, asking if it is truly a monster outside. Behind the railing, one of the bullies screams for help, trapped. Isen faces the door, remembering he is the one who locked it. His friends turn to him, calling his name in disbelief. This boy with glasses screams that he saw everyone on the roof die, just as a deafening crash slams against their only exit. This girl in the hoodie watches, frozen in silent shock. As the other students flee, Isen refuses to move, and the metal door groans, cracking under a relentless assault. He tells his friends to go, vowing to break it down himself. But with a violent tear, the door is ripped from its frame, hurtling down the stairs and nearly crushing the students below. Isen and his friends stare at the wreckage, utterly stunned. In the stairwell, two students look back at the shattered doorway, a horrifying scene of fallen classmates littering the rooftop. Among them lies the gray-haired prankster, motionless on the ground, but his eyes slowly crack open, revealing he has been hiding. He and his friend are perched on an outer ledge, whispering about the danger, while the rooftop monster stands silently in the doorway. This bully watches its strange stillness, completely confused, when a sudden blast of light erupts from inside the school, and the concussive force startles the two boys on the ledge. Losing his balance, the bully stumbles on the air conditioner, a sound that immediately draws the monster's attention. He catches himself sighing in relief at the close call, but that relief instantly vanishes into pure terror. A monstrous hand suddenly grips the railing right above them. This creature peers over the edge, its gaze locking onto its cornered prey. This bully trembles, desperately pleading for it all to just go away. In the stairwell, Isen and his friend see the doorway is suddenly empty, leaving the group completely baffled by the monster's disappearance. This girl in the hoodie peeks over the door they are using as a shield, as another student praises its sturdiness for keeping them safe. This boy with glasses asks Isen if the bully was even his friend, while elsewhere an old man starts his car, praying for guidance. He asks for the courage to see his mission through. Pulling out of a nearby lot and driving toward the school. On the field, the first creature crouches, sensing an approach. Its attention is drawn to the car speeding along the fence. As the driver grips the wheel, his prayer growing more desperate. He smashes through the school gates, determined to get inside, but his face twists in horror at what he suddenly sees. A monstrous reflection now chasing him in the rearview mirror. An old man screams in terror as a shadow looms over him, his car screeching to a violent halt on the road. This impact throws him forward against the steering wheel. His vehicle now sits smoking, crashed against a tree, and the driver groans, clutching his aching head. Suddenly, his eyes snap open, spotting a monster outside. He checks his mirror, confused to find nothing there, just as the rooftop creature soars right over his car. It lands with bone-shattering force on the pavement, a massive scythe-like limb extending from its back. This beast then perches atop the crushed vehicle, its presence triggering a wave of panic through the area. Nearby, a group of students flees from the school building, their leader screaming for them to get away from the chaos. But the girl with glasses freezes, staring back in shock. This rooftop monster lands hard on the school grounds, its hulking form now standing amidst the wreckage. From behind a wall, a student with glasses watches, left behind, her eyes widening as she takes in the scene. Two creatures now stalk the field, a truly bizarre sight. Inside, other students find a potential safe room, and a blonde girl cautiously checks for any danger, finding a large conference room that seems secure for now. This dark-haired student and the boy with glasses collapse in exhaustion, while the girl in the hoodie realizes the door has no lock. Her friend argues it is pointless after the last door was destroyed, but the blonde girl suggests they at least barricade it somehow. Overwhelmed, the boy with glasses says they need a real classroom, his mind reeling from the sheer insanity of it all. His hands tremble, unable to grasp what is happening. In the quiet hallway, the girl in the hoodie turns to the boy with glasses, demanding to know how he predicted the student's transformation on the roof, and he looks back, ready to explain what he witnessed. He reveals he has seen it happen once before, a person turning into a monster, a memory flashing back to the telltale black orb that appears during the change, which Isin confirms is the sphere floating above the creature's head. This boy with glasses explains the other signs, a pale face and incoherent mumbling, a revelation that shocks the other students. There are warning signs, but he admits he does not know what triggers it, suspecting it is random. Isin's eyes widen, suddenly remembering someone acting just like that, a flashback showing the gray-haired prankster shivering on the rooftop floor. This girl in the hoodie connects the dots. The orb, chills, and anxiety are the symptoms, making the blonde girl wonder how many more infected students are in the school, while Isin voices their greatest fear: what if one of them is next? A chilling possibility that now hangs over the entire group. He proposes a grim rule: confess if you feel the symptoms. This blonde girl asks in fear what happens next, and Isin wearily agrees, calling it their last chance to survive. But the girl in the hoodie suggests a more certain method, a dark plan to deal with anyone before they transform. This boy with glasses interrupts, asking about the bathroom and food, while another student panics, admitting he really needs to go. This blonde girl trembles, wondering if it is safe to leave. But Isin points to a nearby door, telling them to just go, and the nervous student laughs manically, relieved at the close call. Annoyed, Isin questions what could possibly go wrong. This girl in the hoodie watches the exchange, sensing something off, while Isin insists they have to let people use the restroom, his hand closing around the handle, ready to open the door. Outside, the hallway waits, deceptively quiet. A door creaks open just a crack, as Isin cautiously peeks into the hallway, his eyes widening at what he discovers: a massive, dormant monster blocking their path. Back inside, another student asks to go to the bathroom, but Isin sharply silences him, warning him to stay quiet. This others are startled by his sudden intensity, and the boy with glasses realizes the rooftop monster is here. A strange noise echoes from outside, making the girl in the hoodie tense, while Isin listens intently at the door. Suddenly, the creature in the hall erupts in a shower of gore, causing the blonde girl to scream that they need to shut the door. Isin, however, does not move, his back to them, leaving his friends utterly confused by his stillness. As he finally turns, confirming a monster is waiting for them, Isin stares in disbelief, realizing it is a person out there, and he grabs his friend, asking if he is sure what he saw. This girl in the hoodie peeks through the door crack, terrified, revealing a student impaled by monstrous black tendrils. Another boy recoils in horror, questioning if it is real, while she confirms it is a person, but his fate is uncertain. She speculates that he looks infected, maybe even contagious, sparking immediate panic about the infection spreading to them. This boy with glasses wonders if there is a chance he is still alive, a thought that hangs heavy in the silent room. Isin looks at him, dreading the suggestion of a rescue attempt, but his friend brings up a movie theory about immunity, explaining that some people might have antibodies that protect them. This girl in the hoodie thinks he has completely lost his mind, but then considers the implication: if someone can revert, they might hold the key. This blonde girl wonders if they can turn monsters back into people, a thought that makes Isin realize they will regret not acting now. This boy with glasses agrees, asking what their next move is. Pointing toward the potential victim, the girl in the hoodie urges a quick decision, and her friend's eyes narrow, understanding the urgency. They stand outside the multi-purpose room, their destination. Cautiously peeking inside, the blonde girl worries it is full of people, her face twisting in fear at the possibilities. This group enters the room, finding it seemingly empty. Isin gives a grim warning: anyone who runs off alone is dead. His friend adds that the person could transform again at any moment, then asks the girl in the hoodie if her rooftop injury is okay. Brushing it off, the boy with glasses turns to something more pressing: a student impaled by strange growths, seemingly lifeless on the floor. Isin tells the terrified girl to try and wake him up. Isin glares, calling her a coward for hesitating, as a hand cautiously reaches for the impaled student. This others watch in terror, urging her to be careful. Another boy tells the girl in the hoodie to ready her taser, but she admits she lost it on the rooftop, infuriating Isin, until the boy with glasses reveals he actually picked it up. It is an expensive, illegally modified model he found, but now the device is cracked and useless. Using it would only electrocute the person holding it. He then hands the dangerous weapon to a confused Isin, who drops it instantly, his focus on the body before them, kneeling down to tap the impaled student's form. He was just checking for any kind of reaction, so the other boy tells the girl to check for a pulse instead. She cautiously approaches the body, ready to see if he is still alive. Isin warns her to be careful as she gets closer, her hand trembling as she recognizes the victim, Choi Taewon. A wave of dread washes over her, confirming it is really him. She remembers him as a bright kid, always smiling with friends, and now desperately hopes he might still be alive. But his eyes snap open, black and soulless, screaming in terror, causing the girl in the hoodie to recoil in utter shock. Suddenly, a hand yanks her back by the hood, this boy with glasses pulling her away from the danger. Isin stands guard as the victim's hand mutates into a monstrous claw, while the infected student thrashes violently on the floor, and she stares in horror, unable to understand his words. Her friend tries to snap her out of the shock, calling his name, while from the doorway the others scream for them to get back inside. Another student confirms the name, his face pale with fear. This boy with glasses yells for the impaled student to respond, whose legs twitch weakly, a sign he is still alive, a desperate, fading struggle against the tendrils. Isin watches on, completely at a loss for words, while the girl in the hoodie recognizes the victim's face, his body still fighting against the invasive growths, revealing a horrifying transformation already underway. She whispers his name, Choi T1, in disbelief, this grotesque sight confirming their worst fears. Isin grimly concludes that he is probably already dead, prompting the boy with glasses to ask if she knew him, her haunted expression giving a silent confirmation. Suddenly, another student recognizes the name with a jolt, his face contorting in pure, unadulterated horror. He collapses beside his friend, calling out his name in anguish. A student completely loses it, screaming in terror, while Isin desperately tries to restrain him, warning it is still dangerous. This sight of the impaled boy on the floor is just too much. This boy with glasses rushes over, helping to hold him down, but then he spots the girl in the hoodie walking away. She recalls the victim's last words, his plea not to die, and now stands over the body, certain he is gone. Her friend protests, saying they cannot just leave him, insisting they must examine the body to learn about the monsters. Meanwhile, the other student sobs uncontrollably, fearing his own fate. But the girl in the hoodie coldly tells her friend not to interfere. A sudden thought strikes the boy with glasses, stopping him cold. As Isin looks on, watching his other friend completely break down, this boy with glasses grabs her arm again, deciding to join her. From the doorway, the blonde girl watches in disbelief, questioning their sanity. Crouching by the body, she suggests they look for a weak spot, but the boy with glasses dismisses it, demanding a real vulnerability. He is fixated on how the victim reverted to human even for a moment. There was no sign of weakness before the transformation, and she doubts the answer is something as simple as blood type. Watching from the side, Isin thinks they have completely lost their minds. Suddenly, a scream echoes from the nearby bathroom stalls. This victim's distraught friend stumbles out, wiping his eyes, barely able to stand as he grieves for his friend. This boy with glasses confirms the victim seemed normal before the attack, prompting Isin to wonder if the monster simply made a mistake. Perhaps the creatures do not understand humans any more than they understand them. This girl in the hoodie then recalls his last moments like he was talking to someone, which makes Isin wonder who he was speaking with and where the corpse went. Just then, the blonde girl appears, startling them both. This blonde girl erupts, accusing them all of having a death wish, but the boy with glasses argues they are just trying to survive. While the grieving friend wonders if this is a side effect of the transformation, he tearfully begs them to at least bury T1, a suggestion that sends Isin into a panicked refusal. Going out there means they will all end up just like him. This girl in the hoodie, however, refuses to just abandon the body, suggesting they find some way to pay their respects. Her idea is simple: cover him with the classroom curtain, a small gesture that Isin and his friend agree is their only option. Inside classroom 1-5, they prepare to act, deciding the curtain will be enough to give him some dignity, but the boy with glasses asks how to get it down. Isin bluntly tells him to just pull, surprising his friend, until his attention is drawn to the blonde girl in the doorway. This blonde girl frantically explains a plan to escape. So the boy with glasses begins climbing out the window, but he suddenly freezes in shock, spotting a grotesque monster lurking on the field below. He realizes the creature is still there, just waiting. Turning back, he warns that the monster might notice them, when he is suddenly yanked back from the window ledge, this curtain tearing as he is pulled forcefully inside. This commotion startles the two girls nearby, whose eyes widen in absolute terror at the scene. On the floor lies a large shape hidden under a curtain, and the boy with glasses clutches his chest in pain, before a hand suddenly clamps over his mouth, revealing Isin, who signals for absolute silence. Nearby, the other girls lie on the floor, completely bewildered. This blonde girl panics, but the girl in the hoodie quickly silences her, explaining with dread that something was just outside the window. Isin looks over at the other survivors they have found in the room, two of whom have been hiding on a high ledge for hours. One of them hopes a distant explosion means the monster has finally left, but his friend argues back, terrified they never heard it depart. Another student, tired of waiting, orders a boy to go and check, but the terrified kid refuses, insisting it is not his turn. As they debate waiting longer, one of them spots the creature still lurking outside. Ignoring the danger, another student walks to the window to get a better look. Pulling back the curtain as Isin watches through the gap, his face frozen in pure disbelief and horror. A grotesque monster is staring directly into the classroom window, leaving the student who opened the curtain paralyzed with terror. And in the next instant, he is gone, the curtain falling to the empty floor. Under the curtain, Isin debates whether to wait or run for it, while the boy with glasses demands to know what is going on. This classroom is eerily silent, the door slightly ajar. From behind a cabinet, the two girls watch in absolute terror. As a monstrous leg stalks just outside the window, this girl in the hoodie whispers, wondering if it is finally leaving. Her friend quickly moves to stifle the blonde girl's gasp, but a sudden scream rips through the silence anyway. This blonde girl's eyes wide with a new, sudden horror. A hand dangles ominously from the top of the window frame, before being pulled up and out of sight in a flash. In an instant, the window is completely clear again, and the girl in the hoodie realizes the creature did not hear them. She signals for quiet, explaining the monsters have no eyes or ears, which means they might not be able to hear sound at all. This spiky-headed monster peers into the classroom window, horrifying the students huddled in the doorway. Its monstrous hand presses against the glass, cracking it, a terrifying sound that freezes the girl in the hoodie. With a crash, the creature bursts through the frame, reaching inside, causing one of the boys to bolt as the blonde girl screams for him to wait. This girl in the hoodie realizes with dread what this means for the others. Inside, the monster snatches one of the students from the high ledge, while his friend hides under a blanket debating a desperate escape. Another survivor is frozen, knowing either staying or running is a death sentence. This blonde girl watches in disbelief, abandoned by the others, but the girl in the hoodie clenches her jaw, making a decision. She steps forward, taunting the creature to draw its attention, offering herself as bait to lure it away from the others, and with a final glance, she and the blonde girl sprint down the hall. Isen realizes the monster is stuck in the window, giving them an opening, but in the hallway, the girls recoil at more grotesque tendrils on the floor. This girl in the hoodie knows it is a risky gamble, but it is their only chance. Suddenly, a loud bang echoes from a nearby room, startling both of them completely. This blonde girl asks if the sound came from the classroom they just left, and they both turn back toward the door with growing dread. Cautiously, the girl in the hoodie creeps forward to peek inside, her eyes widening in shock as the scene flashes back 5 minutes. 2 other survivors were hiding, arguing about how long to wait. One of them insists the monster must have finally left, until a voice from outside asks if anyone is there. A different student rushes to the bars, mocking their fear, only for the others to see a headless creature standing right outside. This silver-haired boy can only stare, frozen in absolute terror. A student kicks an air conditioner unit off a high ledge, shoving his terrified friend forward with it. This friend's eyes go wide in a moment of pure shock, as he is sent tumbling over the edge of the building. Looking down, the pusher screams his friend's name, Wu Qiaoman, his face draining of all color in disbelief. He collapses against the wall, horrified by his own actions. Suddenly, a voice from behind asks if he is okay, this question echoing from behind a set of bars. This student completely snaps, screaming for help and telling them to get away. Then he calls out another name, looking back over the ledge, only to find Wu Qiaoman standing there completely unharmed. Below them, the other student dangles precariously, begging for help, prompting the panicked pusher to beg Qiaoman to pull him up. Qiaoman grabs the cord, straining to save his friend's life, but the makeshift rope begins to fray and snap. Above, the pusher screams for Qiaoman to pull faster, but the weight is too much, the student still dangling helplessly. Below, the boy's face is slick with sweat, certain this is the end. His hands gripping the tearing fabric with all his might. He refuses to die this way, his grip tightening in defiance, using the ledge below to launch himself upward in a desperate move, but the rope gives way, snapping completely in two. As he falls, a monster's face appears in the window right below him. In the sudden darkness, his fate is sealed. This heavy air conditioner plummets toward the ground, taking the helpless student down with it right into the creature's path. A deafening crash echoes as the unit smashes into the pavement, horrifying the 2 students watching from a nearby window. Back in the present, the girl in the hoodie peers into the room, finally understanding the noise. This girl in the hoodie freezes in disbelief. Realizing the classroom is suddenly empty, the monster is gone. Even the shape under the curtain has vanished. Nearby, another student tries to coax his terrified friend out of hiding, while the 2 girls wonder if the coast is truly clear. From under their own cover, Isen and his friend finally emerge, but Isen questions his friend about a sound he heard earlier. His friend urges him to hurry up and leave, but Isen hesitates, watching as the boy with glasses insists on taking the curtain with them. They soon find refuge in a multi-purpose room, though the blonde girl thinks they should keep moving. Her friend argues they should stay put, shocking her with the suggestion, explaining this room is more soundproof and safer than the classroom. Isen, however, clings to hope that a gunshot meant soldiers were nearby, but the girl in the hoodie coldly points out a rescue would not be so quiet. Isen clutches his head, wondering if the monsters are fighting each other. His friend with glasses slumps in relief, asking if anyone is hurt, when he suddenly notices something is off. He looks around the room, asking where the tall kid went. Another survivor scoffs, asking if he is just hiding under a desk, but the blonde girl insists he was with them just a moment ago, leaving the girl in the hoodie to wonder where he could have vanished. Suddenly, frantic footsteps echo from the floor below. A student with freckles bursts in, screaming about a monster. He stumbles over the doorway in his panic, crashing hard onto the floor. Pushing himself up, he tells the others not to worry about him. But when he turns back to the hallway, his friends are gone. His face drains of color as he realizes the monster got them, and overcome with guilt, he breaks down completely. A lone student stumbles away, apologizing to the friends he could not save. Lost on the 4th floor, he desperately searches for a place to hide, considering an empty classroom but fearing he will be trapped. Refusing to die alone, he resolves to find any other survivors. When the door to a nearby supplies room slowly creaks open, revealing a monstrous hand lunging from the shadows inside. Elsewhere, another survivor scoffs at the chaos, wondering if he is the last one left. He lands hard after a dangerous jump from above, barely managing to pull himself over a high concrete ledge. But another student is stuck, screaming for help to get up. This panicked boy grabbing him, demanding to be pulled to safety. For a heart-stopping moment, his friend's grip begins to fail, but with a final heave, he pulls him over the edge, collapsing in exhaustion. This silver-haired boy breaks down, admitting he truly thought he was dead, a relieved, shaky laugh escaping him as his heart finally slows. This silver-haired boy's face contorts in dawning horror, while his friend asks what they are supposed to do now, completely lost. From behind the bars, a headless creature tries to pull itself through. When a girl with glasses appears, calmly asking if they need help, both boys can only stare, utterly confused by her sudden arrival. Suspicious, the silver-haired boy asks if she is some kind of monster tamer, but she simply explains that this particular creature is safe. This other boy cannot believe it, questioning how a monster could be harmless. On the rooftop, the sun begins to set over the school, where 3 other students lie exhausted on the ground. This girl introduces herself as Yoonji, the creature standing behind her like a bodyguard. Immediately, the silver-haired boy's friend demands to know if she killed it, but Yoonji admits she is not sure if it is dead or just dying. This uncertainty sends the friend into a rage, screaming at her carelessness, while she calmly asks why they did not run when they saw the bodies. A girl with glasses recalls her plan to run, but something felt wrong. Peeking out, she and her friends recoil in absolute horror. A courtyard is littered with bodies, watched over by a headless creature. She panics, realizing there is nowhere left for them to go, but then a strange detail catches her attention. Noticing the monster is completely motionless, almost passive, her confusion quickly turns into a sudden realization. Seeing this creature is different from the others they have faced. It is missing the black, energy-filled core. She deduces the core acts as a brain, and without a head, this one is inert. As she explains her theory, a boy with piercings suddenly strikes her. He angrily tells her he does not understand her rambling, this shocking slap echoing in the tense silence. His face is twisted with pure rage and confusion, while their friend demands to know why he just attacked her. A spiky-haired student yells at his friend for being late, but the other boy just stammers in confusion, before snapping back, calling him completely insane. This spiky-haired boy then turns on a girl, demanding an apology, threatening to hit her for almost getting him killed. He finally asks about the monster standing right beside them, and the girl explains it is already dead without its core. With the threat gone, the boys decide to move on together. While elsewhere, another survivor lies broken on the ground. This buzzcut student nervously looks back at the girl, noticing she has lost her glasses and is trembling on the ground. He crouches down to retrieve them for her, their hands brushing as he passes them back, leaving him completely flustered by the simple contact, his tough exterior melting away in a sudden blush. A girl with glasses makes a desperate, heartfelt confession, but the boy she is speaking to only worries about her being alone, awkwardly suggesting they should take responsibility for her. From a distance, the silver-haired boy yells for them to hurry up, just as a hulking monster appears right behind them, leaving the silver-haired boy completely exasperated by the situation. This other student argues she is useful for her knowledge of the creatures, a point that makes their ruthless leader pause and consider. While the girl waits on her knees, her fate hanging in the balance. With a sudden, unsettling grin, he agrees to let her join them, prompting the other boy to finally ask for her name. She thanks him, quietly recalling that he'd struck her earlier. As this unfolds, night falls completely over the school. Elsewhere, another group of survivors prepares to turn out the lights, but the blonde girl's plea to leave them on is coldly shut down. A hand flicks the switch, refusing to leave the lights on, and in the dark, the survivors try to settle down for the night. This blonde girl angrily tells a boy to keep his distance while they rest, but another student wearily tells her to just shut up. He lies back with a sigh, wishing this was all just a nightmare, while the blonde girl laments having to sleep on the hard floor. Staring at the wall, Isin can only worry about his mother's safety, recalling the 4 monsters he saw and hoping she is safe indoors. His thoughts turn darker, questioning if he will even survive another day. A terrifying vision fills his mind as he realizes the monsters are multiplying, making survival more hopeless with each passing day, until eventually their luck will simply run out. Suddenly, a voice calls out to him, his eyes snapping open in fear. As the other boy asks what he is thinking about so intensely, he tells him to stop worrying and just sleep if they want to survive. Lying on the floor, Jinjayu looks up in disbelief, still clinging to the hope that soldiers would arrive tomorrow. Isin just scoffs, teasing his friend for such naive optimism, then tries to reassure everyone about their missing friend. In the quiet, the girl in the hoodie finally gives her name, Jisuk. This prompts the entire group to formally introduce themselves, with Jisuk nervously sharing details about the tall student who vanished. Jinjayu awkwardly states his own name and height, while Isin proudly announces his, clearly trying to one-up him. This blonde girl, Yuji, tries to lighten the tense mood, but Jinjayu's question about the time brings them back to reality. To save power, Isin admits he turned his phone off, guessing it is late. Mentioning the time leads to talk of hunger, a fact they all forgot. Soon they are all lost in daydreams of food they cannot have, until Isin complains about the hard floor, his back already aching. Isin's friend lies back, complaining about being treated like a patient, when a faint sound suddenly echoes from the doorway, startling one of the students completely. Immediately, Isin asks his friend if he heard that noise, but the other boy just rolls over, trying to ignore it. This sound leaves Isin wide awake with worry, his gaze snapping towards the strange rattling, only to find the other students sleeping soundly on the floor. Both boys share a look of disbelief at their ability to sleep. With the false alarm over, they decide to finally get some rest. Darkness completely envelops the school. And the scene shifts to a peaceful memory of a home kitchen. A younger Isen sits on the couch watching television, calling out to his mother to come and join him. She gently declines, leaving him to smile at the screen alone. A strange memory surfaces of a casual conversation. A boy agrees to do the dishes later, but the memory twists into a nightmare of a monster at the sink. Isen's eyes fly open in terror, gasping as he wakes from the disturbing dream. He finds himself lying beside the blonde girl, their hands clasped, completely flustered, wondering how he turned over in his sleep. Realizing this is the closest he has ever been to a girl, his heart pounds as he notices how soft her hand is when she unconsciously brings his fingers to her lips. Panicked, he knows he has to move before anyone sees them, but he is completely frozen in the awkward moment. His mind practically melts from the overwhelming closeness. And just like that, morning arrives at the school. Inside their room, a hand flicks on the lights. Jisuk wearily turns on the lights, announcing it is morning, while Isen groans on the floor, his body aching from a bad night's sleep. His annoyance flares seeing Jinjayu and Yuji still asleep together. Jinjayu looks completely wrecked, drooling and pale from a restless night. This hunger is real, and Jisuk suggests a risky trip to the store. Yuji immediately cheers for the idea, full of naive excitement, but Isen reminds them of the danger waiting just outside the room. Jisuk counters that other survivors will have the same idea. She's going with or without them, putting the choice to the group. Isen notes how hungry she is, prompting her to remind him of her name, Jisuk. Her logic is sound, leaving the boy with glasses flustered and uncertain. Yuji weighs their two terrible options, starving or facing the monsters. Realizing they cannot just wait, Isen agrees they have to act. He refuses to send her out alone as she silently considers her weapon a taser. This strategist immediately starts planning, insisting they find the safest possible route. Jisuk explains the safest route is the closest one, but they must remain flexible, adding there is one task they must complete before heading to the store. Her plan involves a quick stop at the women's restroom, where the flattened remains of a creature lie just outside the door. To carry the food they hope to find, they will need to scavenge for bags, and so the group cautiously begins to move through the halls. They check a nearby classroom but decide to try another one instead, where a backpack is quickly passed down the line of students. As Isen passes it to Yuji, his hand deliberately lingers on hers, leaving him flustered as he tries to compliment her, annoying his friend. He completely stammers, lost for words in the tense moment. Breaking the silence, Jisuk pulls up a map of the school grounds, detailing the 3 possible routes to the next building. Going outside is immediately ruled out as far too dangerous, leaving them with only one real choice, the second-floor sky bridge. Peeking into a classroom, a boy spots a lone survivor. His friends catch up, wondering why he stopped. Inside, the girl trembles in terror, blaming herself for what happened. They realize she is in shock, having lost a friend to the monsters, and one student worries she is turning, but there is no sign of a black core. This blonde girl asks if they are just going to leave her behind, but Jisuk turns away, saying they have nothing to offer. With the decision made, the group prepares to move on. This boy with glasses reluctantly agrees to leave her there, when a wide, manic grin spreads across the girl's face. She suddenly scrambles towards them, asking about the snack shop, grabbing onto the boy's leg in a desperate frenzy. Clutching his jacket, she begs him to save her friend Jinho. Her desperate plea leaves the student completely stunned. He asks if this means there is a monster at the snack shop. A girl frantically insists the store ahead is empty, urging a boy with glasses to just keep moving, but he just stares down the desolate school hallway, realizing with dawning horror her true intention. He is being set up as a sacrifice, and she suddenly tackles him to the floor. She screams that they need more people as bait to save her friend, leaving the boy utterly shocked by her ruthless plan. With a crazed look, she vows to save her friend at any cost, convinced this is the only way to survive. Elsewhere, another group is seen crossing a sky bridge, where Isen complains about the monsters still being around. He suddenly turns, realizing Jinjayu is not with them anymore, though he tells Yuji not to worry about it. Just then, Jisuk announces they are almost at the next building. In another hallway, a student insists they stick together for safety, but her friend decides to scout ahead alone. This first girl begs her to wait just a moment, when her friend suddenly bolts down the corridor, shouting that someone has collapsed up ahead. A body is seen lying motionless on the floor, revealing a terrified and injured student. This girl runs towards him, hoping he is still alive, only to find his body grotesquely transformed by monstrous vines. Meanwhile, the boy with glasses realizes he is being used as bait, his attacker screaming she will sacrifice anyone to save her friend. Pushed too far, the cornered student finally snaps, retaliating with a brutal kick to her face, which sends the girl sprawling onto the hard floor. Towering over her, he delivers a chilling final threat. This girl screams that she cannot live without her friend Jinho. Her desperate cries spur the boy with glasses to give chase, while Jisuk sprints ahead down the empty corridor, spotting a hand lying motionless at the bottom of the stairs. She calls out a name in a panic, fearing the worst. Suddenly, Isen grabs her backpack, stopping her short, warning her not to rush in blindly towards the danger. He insists they find Jinjayu first before doing anything else. But the name she called out leaves him completely stunned. Jisuk asks if he knows the person lying on the floor. Isen tries to dismiss it, saying the guy is probably just hiding, yet the body on the floor is undeniably there. His confidence shatters as the grim reality sets in, prompting Yuji to suggest using the taser again, though he argues their previous success was just a lucky shot. Jisuk recalls the victim's skin was dark and murky. Unlike the strange tendrils covering the rest of his body, when the hand on the floor suddenly twitches, leaving her completely stunned by the movement. Turning to the others, she insists that it moved, frantically shouting that the person is still alive. This changes everything for Isen. They cannot just leave a survivor. He holds her back, declaring he will check it out himself, ordering her to stay put with a determined glare. She is left stunned, trying to protest his decision. While Yuji calls out his name in disbelief, ignoring them, Isen cautiously approaches the corner, his heart pounding as he tries to reassure himself. Inching closer to the hand lying just out of sight, he rounds the corner only to find the hallway completely empty. This boy with glasses suddenly spots Jinjayu down the hall, screaming for the group to halt their trip to the store. But Jinjayu just looks back, completely dazed, his body moving with an unnatural stiffness, revealing the black core now pulsing in his palm. This horrifying truth dawns on the student with glasses, as monstrous tendrils erupt from Jinjayu's back, leaving him completely paralyzed by fear. Isen snaps out of it, screaming for everyone to run, but the tendrils instantly snatch Jisuk from the group, dragging Yuji down with her as she screams for help. This boy with glasses turns back, refusing to flee, even as Isen gets caught, yelling for him to get away. But he just tells Isen to save himself. These two girls lie helpless on the floor, completely ensnared. This boy with glasses stands frozen, knowing he has to help, but the monstrous tendrils completely block his path. His resolve wavers, realizing a direct approach is suicide. Sweating, he desperately tries to rationalize his hesitation, clenching his fist as he searches for a plan, when Isen, ensnared by the monster, smirks back at him. This taunt leaves the boy with glasses utterly speechless. Just as the tendrils violently drag Isen down the corridor, pulling Jisuk and Yuji along as they scream for their lives, he can only watch, his eyes wide with pure terror. A hand lets go, its grip failing, as a red backpack clatters onto the ground. This corridor falls silent, empty save for the abandoned bag. Standing alone, he mutters that he was just about to save them, his expression a mixture of guilt and utter shock. This boy with glasses hears footsteps approaching from the corner, where the girl appears, frantically asking if he has seen Jinho. He turns away, his expression grim and silent, muttering a dark threat if anything happens to his own friends. His own terror, however, betrays his empty words. She mocks him for being too scared to even move. A strange sound echoes from the nearby stairwell, drawing his gaze towards the snack shop entrance, where monstrous vines cover the entire hallway floor. Inside, a grotesque arm raises a powerful fist, bringing it down with crushing force on another student, leaving the victim broken and bleeding on the ground. As the monster lifts the body, a black core forms in its hand, while the girl shakes him, demanding to know where Jinho is. He remains frozen, unable to answer her desperate pleas. This boy with glasses is left speechless by her words, when a ponytailed girl furiously confirms the horrifying truth, and he desperately demands she explain everything. This scene cuts to the snack shop, now dark and foreboding. Its interior is completely overrun by monstrous vines. Isen finds himself completely bound by the creature's tendrils, calling out to Yuji, who is trapped beside him. She is unresponsive, her face bruised and battered. A chilling realization dawns on him as he looks over at Jisuk. Nearby, Jisuk is also completely ensnared and helpless. Straining against his bonds, he grits his teeth in frustration. But then his eyes widen in sudden shock. He spots the boy with glasses, also caught in the vines. A monstrous arm rears back, its fist clenched to deliver a blow, smashing down with brutal force as the full, horrifying monster is revealed. A flashback reveals Jinjayu's final, confused moments, as a tendril suddenly yanks him into the air, dangling him helplessly above a monstrous creature, while the black core slips from his grasp, hurtling down towards the beast below. Back in the present, the boy with glasses and Yuji are bound together, his face a mask of pure terror as he accepts his fate. This monstrous tendrils completely block their only escape route, and one begins to lift him, his turn seemingly at hand, when the vines on the floor suddenly begin to shift, releasing them to snatch another victim from the crowd, a teacher. This boy stares in disbelief, realizing he has been spared, while the terrified teacher screams, begging for her life. She desperately calls out to Isen by name for help, but he can only look away, utterly powerless to intervene. Pinned to the floor, the teacher begs for mercy from the beast, while Isen can only watch, completely frozen in terror, as its fist smashes down with brutal finality. A monstrous hand slowly rises from the aftermath, holding up a numbered card for its captives to see. They are forced to witness the horrific scene unfold, and a single, terrifying thought takes root in Isen's mind. A chilling realization that he could be next. As the beast lifts its victim, a black core materializes above it, leaving the boy with glasses speechless with dread. Its dark silhouette consumes the newly formed core, and his mind races, wondering who the next target will be, when one of the tendrils on the floor begins to stir, presenting a twisted game of chance with a joker card. Suddenly, the vines lurch forward, ensnaring the boy with glasses. This grotesque creature dominates the hall, its tendrils lashing out, ensnaring Isen and dragging him helplessly across the floor, where he curses Jinjayu, staring at the monster that was once his friend. Its vines wrap tightly around his body, crushing him. leaving him pinned and exhausted, barely able to breathe, just as the monster rears back for a final deadly strike. But then a flicker of movement as someone readies to act, revealing the boy with glasses at the top of the stairs. Isen is stunned, wondering why he came back, but the boy just grins with grim resolve, holding up a bottle, hurling it with all his might in a desperate plan. He theorizes the monster will instinctively bite what is thrown, his face contorting as he prays the creature takes the bait, only for his eyes to widen in utter shock, as the bottle just bounces off, his plan a total failure. On the ground, a student stares in horror, questioning what he just saw. While on the stairs, his friend desperately seeks another way out. A massive tendril suddenly whips through the air, striking the spiky-haired student with brutal force. He is sent flying up the stairs from the sheer impact. Still bound, Isen can only watch, calling out the victim's name, Hongjin. At the top of the stairs, Hongjin lies completely still, his eyes wide with shock as he whispers that he has lost all feeling. Gasping for air, he struggles to even move, his life fading as his vision darkens. A flashback shows the core falling from a student's hand toward the beast below, plunging straight into the creature's massive, waiting mouth. Tiny tendrils sprout from the core as the monster absorbs its power. Cutting away, someone stands near a drain, a crumpled note at their feet, while a short-haired girl watches in terror, realizing there is no way to defeat the creature. A determined look crosses the girl's face. As she stands alone, realizing they need outside help, her gaze falls upon the monster in the field, an unlikely ally, but her heart pounds as she waits for a reaction and gets nothing. Losing her patience, she screams an insult at the creature, instantly regretting the outburst as she braces for a response. This creature on the field, however, remains completely still, leaving her utterly confused as to why it will not react. Panic sets in as she realizes she is running out of time. Hesitantly, she considers stepping closer to provoke it, but knows that would be suicide, instead searching for something to throw. A small coin in her palm gives her a new idea. With renewed focus, she prepares to flick it, aiming with incredible precision toward the creature's hand. It lands perfectly on the back of the monster's giant hand. This girl stares, utterly bewildered by the lack of response, as the monster on the field remains completely inert. Her frustration mounts, she is completely out of time. Back in the hallway, a black core falls from Hongjin's body, tumbling directly into the waiting maw of the beast below. Hongjin's life flashes before his eyes, his end seemingly near. He trembles violently, desperate to do anything, while the monster absorbs the core with a surge of dark energy. Gasping for his last breaths, Hongjin's body goes limp, and Isen can only scream his friend's name in anguish. This creature's tendrils hold Hongjin aloft, a final offering, its jaw unhinging to fully consume the new power source. Suddenly, the vines binding Isen begin to loosen their grip, a horrifying realization dawning on him about Hongjin's fate, just as the tendrils yank his friend high into the air. This brutal impact sends Hongjin reeling back, tumbling helplessly down the concrete stairs, but his friend catches him just in time. He cradles his battered friend, desperately asking if he is alive, screaming at Hongjin to wake up so they can escape. This injured boy's eyes roll back, his consciousness fading. He whispers that he cannot feel his legs at all, prompting his friend to offer to carry him to safety. But Hongjin refuses, telling him to save Yuji instead, leaving the other student staring at the injured girl, refusing to give up. A wave of terror hits him as he realizes he cannot save them both, and the monster below seems to be patiently waiting for his decision. His mind races with an impossible choice: abandon one or doom them all. Suddenly, Hongjin grabs his own tie, pulling it tight, gasping that something is missing as his strength fails. Isen is paralyzed by the horrifying scene. He grits his teeth, forcing himself to act. Kneeling over the injured student, he promises to return, demanding the boy stay alive no matter what. This dazed student can only weakly agree, and with that, Isen sprints away to find Yuji. He rushes to her side, desperately calling her name, relieved to find she is still conscious enough to move. Meanwhile, the monster clutches its head in apparent confusion. Seizing the chance, Isen carries Yuji down the hall, but the creature stirs, its attention suddenly caught just as he rounds the corner, making a break for it. A monstrous tendril whips through the air with deadly speed, striking his backpack with a brutal impact, but a hand retaliates, plunging scissors deep into the vine. This monster's head tilts back, a dark core forming in its mouth, when a masked student hiding nearby prepares a strange device. His hands tremble, clutching the makeshift weapon he has assembled. In the hall, the creature roars, preparing to strike again, but the student stares with grim resolve, knowing his device is active. From his hiding spot, he takes aim at one of the monster's vines, triggering a sudden blast right in front of the beast, its massive jaws parting as smoke billows from the impact. Through the haze, a monstrous hand snatches him by the wrist, hoisting him helplessly into the air before the creature. This beast stares him down, the previously thrown bottle lying useless on the floor. It then strikes its own chest, a flash of energy erupting from the blow, sending the masked student hurtling back onto the stairs. Dazed and broken, he stares blankly into the distance, his consciousness fading as he witnesses the end of his life. His dying vision focuses on the monster below, a sight he never could have imagined. As the world blurs and fades from view, consciousness flickers out like a TV screen, leaving only a strange cold where the pain used to be. Floating in the void, his spirit wonders if this is hell, trapped in an endless, suffocating darkness. Shivering and alone, he fears this is his eternal fate until a sudden presence catches his attention. He is cold, alone, muttering to himself in the dark, remembering the pale, trembling girl from before and another boy just as cold and terrified. A horrifying realization begins to dawn on him. These are the exact symptoms of turning into a monster. Back in reality, his own core descends toward the beast. This boy with glasses lies broken, wondering if he is next. His mind races with the horrifying thought of becoming a monster, just like Kim Sujin did before him. A vision of turning on his own friends flashing through his mind. He stares at his hands, terrified of what he might become, picturing the faces of the classmates he'd be forced to hunt. With sheer will, he fights the change, determined to stop it, desperately searching for a way to halt the transformation. Then a sudden realization hits him. There was one exception, a student named Choi Taewon who never turned. He forces himself to think, to understand how it was possible. Searching for the one difference that set Taewon apart. It was not that Taewon did not become a monster, but something else entirely. Perhaps he could not transform because he was already dead. A horrifying thought crosses his mind: the only escape is death, and this grim logic seems to be the only certain path. For his friends to live, he must make the ultimate sacrifice. His consciousness pulled into a strange, swirling void. Back in reality, the masked student gasps, utterly bewildered, collapsing to his knees as his body begins to transform, whispering his final words as his life drains away. A black core erupts from his head, his last thought for his friends, when the hallway monster suddenly seizes him by the head, his own body twisting into a monstrous new form. Meanwhile, the girl on the field takes a hesitant step forward, finally getting a reaction from the inert creature, her heart pounding as its gaze locks onto her. This beast remains still, patiently waiting for her next move. Now she wonders if she can actually lead this thing away. She wonders if this plan can even work, time slipping away, desperately trying to push away her rising fear. With grim determination, she accepts she is their only hope, just as the creature on the field lets out a terrifying roar, instant regret hitting her as she realizes her fatal mistake. Yet she still takes one fateful step onto the grass, instantly provoking the beast to lunge with blinding speed. Her mind screams in panic, completely unprepared for the attack, throwing herself aside as the creature smashes the ground behind her. Hitting the dirt hard, she grits her teeth from the impact, looking back in disbelief, amazed she somehow survived. This impact kicks up a massive cloud of dust and debris, and through the haze, its giant hand smashes into the school wall. But the creature emerges disoriented, a core floating above its head. Unleashing its fury, it smashes the building again. This girl looks back, confused by the sudden silence, wondering if the monster got stuck in the rubble. Her terror remains, knowing she must keep luring it away, and with resolve she turns to run further down the track. Just then, the creature's hands stir within the debris, a sharp spike suddenly erupting from the ground, shocking her, causing her to freeze in place on the running track. From the dust emerges a faster, deadlier version of the beast, its new form leaving her paralyzed with fear. This creature lunges forward, its core glowing ominously, while inside, the hallway monster observes the core from its fallen victim. Its strange limb clenches tightly around the dark sphere, seemingly absorbing its power in a flash. Then the beast hurls the core with incredible force, sending it flying like a cannonball toward a distant window. A monstrous tendril bursts through a school window, clutching the dark core of the fallen student. Its gaze locks onto Isin fleeing in the distance, who struggles onward, desperate to get Yuji to safety. Back in the hallway, the creature lets out a low growl. As the masked student's hand falls limp, his life fading, his consciousness drifts in a dark void before a massive sphere, realizing with horror what happens if he does not die. A black core slams into a wall, shattering the surface, while his physical body begins a grotesque transformation. He stares at his cracked hands, knowing he will hunt his friends. As the void seems to whisper this terrible truth to him, this grim knowledge dawns that he will be their end, and surrounded by this inescapable fate, he makes a choice. He resolves that he will never let that future come to pass. This masked student's face twists into a monstrous form, his hand reaching out before it begins to disintegrate. His head erupts into a grotesque shape, a final sacrifice made, and the newly formed core plummets from his body. His lifeless form stands for one final haunting moment. A tendril from the beast below snatches the core from the air, pulling it back with blinding speed. Elsewhere, Isin sprints for a doorway, still carrying Yuji, but a deafening crash from behind makes him freeze in terror, a nearby wall cracking under an immense impact. This hallway monster smashes through the concrete, newly empowered, its body now hosting two cores as it scans the area. On the field, the other colossal beast begins to glow with power, its attention suddenly drawn to the commotion inside the school, turning its massive head as it senses a rival presence nearby. This newly transformed student faces the hallway monster, unleashing a ferocious headbutt against his foe, its powerful impact staggering the other creature. He follows up with another brutal strike, his arm whipping through the air with deadly force, landing a devastating blow to its side. This hallway beast desperately grabs the attacking limb, but the red core above the student's form glows with power, sending his opponent flying with a massive kick. Crashing hard into the wall, the monster shatters the concrete, stumbling back as it clutches its wounded side. This transformed student lets out a triumphant roar, while his enemy raises a tendril to defend itself. With another lunge, the student monster attacks again, easily catching the defensive limbs in its grasp. This student monster shatters its opponent's limbs, leaving the hallway beast reeling from the blow. With his foe disabled, the transformed student stands tall, but the hallway monster spots a new target, its gaze locking onto Isin standing frozen on the stairs. A barrage of tendrils shoots out with lethal speed, only to be intercepted by the student monster's body. As the hallway creature unleashes its full power, this student monster takes the hit, refusing to back down, while its enemy's body begins to rapidly regenerate. In a shocking turn, the student monster seizes its foe. Elsewhere, Isin has found a temporary shelter. Inside, Yuji lies unconscious on the concrete floor, and Isin desperately tries to wake her, panting for breath. He wonders why the monster let them go, unaware of the core it now holds. Isin hides, wondering what could have caused the destruction, his hand trembling on a doorknob as he worries for his friends. He stands before the door, steeling himself for what is outside, taking a deep breath and glancing back toward Yuji, silently urging her to hang on just a little longer. With grim determination, he finally turns the handle, cracking the door open to a scene of utter devastation. This hallway monster lies broken amidst the rubble, a sight that leaves Isin completely stunned behind the doorframe. He realizes with horror it was attacked by another creature, its body being torn apart with savage force. As the transformed student stands over his defeated rival, with a final, brutal bite, he crushes the hallway monster's core. This red sphere shatters into countless fragments, its dark energy seemingly absorbed by the victor. This student monster's arm skewers the hallway beast's head, its jaw hanging slack as the wound drips black ichor, and it retaliates with a furious storm of tendrils, pinning the student monster against the concrete wall. Such force shatters the building's outer wall, and nearby Isin lies motionless, caught in the chaos, his hand falling limp, seemingly lifeless. A monstrous hand suddenly reaches for his own, but the student monster breaks free, landing another solid blow, leaving the hallway beast momentarily stunned and confused. Its arm then transforms into a sharp black blade, swinging the weapon down with devastating force. This hallway beast can only watch as the strike lands, this brutal attack impaling the creature, bringing it to its knees. With a roar, the student monster lunges in for the kill. This hallway monster staggers, its tendrils flailing wildly, as the student monster lands a direct hit on its red core. A brutal follow-through, sending it reeling back from the force. Its other core, the black one, is suddenly exposed, which is immediately struck by another powerful blow. This creature is sent hurtling down the long hallway, but in a desperate move, it opens its jaws to swallow its own core, absorbing the dark sphere to regain its strength, its massive teeth clamping down on the source of power. This energy is too much, causing its head to explode violently. Just as Isin rounds the corner, freezing at the horrific sight, he watches in terror as the monster's form begins to shift and regrow, while Yuji looks on from the floor, completely helpless. A crown of smaller, shrieking maws erupts from its neck, revealing a deadlier, newly evolved form ready to attack. With the monstrous footsteps fading, Isin moves on. As the victorious student monster disappears from sight, he cautiously peeks around the corner, confirming it is gone, only to find another friend slumped lifelessly on the stairs. Rushing to the boy's side, he desperately tries to wake him, and feels a faint heartbeat, a small sign of life. Panicked, Isin knows moving his friend is too risky, when a flash of red outside the window catches his eye. A new, terrifying beast stands on the school grounds, while nearby a lone girl hides beneath a tree, wondering what the creature is about to do. This monster takes a heavy step, cracking the pavement, her eyes widening in terror as it turns her way. It suddenly leaps high into the air right above her, its gaping maw descending for the kill. A sharp tendril descends upon the exposed core, but a new, slender creature strikes the ground, missing its target. This crowned monster snatches the red sphere in its jaws, while a girl watches from the bushes, utterly confused. She wonders why the creature is not attacking its foe, her eyes widening with a grim understanding. That slender beast is now scaling the school building, and she recognizes it as the monster from the night before. Back on the field, it unleashes a furious barrage of blows, leaping away after landing a devastating punch. This crowned beast looks on, dazed by the brutal assault, before being slammed hard into the earth below. Towering over its fallen enemy, the slender monster stands victorious, as the red core slips from the crowned beast's broken jaw. Landing softly on the grass, its power now up for grabs, a black core materializes in the void. Inside a strange realm, a crowned creature is choked, as the black sphere attacks it with a sharp appendage, crushing its head with overwhelming force. Back in the school, a student recognizes someone's name while his friend carries him down the stairs, confused by his words. This carrier struggles under the weight, telling him to hold on, but the injured boy can barely speak from the pain. His friend offers to put him down for a moment, but the injured student suddenly grabs him in a panic, causing the carrier to lose his balance, struggling to breathe. In an instant, the injured boy is fine, much to his friend's shock, who gawks at the hole in the wall, wondering how he survived. He then spots another girl, telling her Yuji is safe, and he recognizes her as Hyuseolgi, who points in terror. This backpack student smirks, relieved to find Isin alive, while a female student takes charge, pointing them toward the store. She sprints off, promising to return quickly, leaving the backpack student frustrated by her stubbornness. He mutters to himself about her impossible will. As the girl races down the hallway toward a door, reaching it, she pauses, panting heavily, throwing it open and calling out for Yuji. but her eyes widen in absolute shock at the scene inside. A hulking student is crouched over Yuji's unconscious body, her gaze hardening as she demands to know who this stranger is. Elsewhere, the two boys arrive at the empty school store, beginning to gather whatever food they can find. This friend admits he ditched Isen's bag while carrying him, but their search is suddenly interrupted by a new arrival. A new group of students enters, their leader smirking at Isen, who glares up from the floor, exhausted and wary. His friend stands, silently urging caution in the tense standoff, while a girl with glasses studies them with a flicker of recognition. Isen's friend racks his brain, trying to remember where he has seen them before. Suddenly, a memory clicks into place for him. This group's leader grabs him by the collar, demanding an answer, taunting his terrified expression relentlessly. But the boy realizes someone is missing from their group. At the same time, the girl with glasses recalls a recent encounter, remembering a monstrous student named Kim Sujin. She wonders what happened after witnessing that transformation. A flash of terrifying claws and teeth filling her mind, followed by the brutal violence of that day. Back in the store, Isen's friend is frozen in shock, unable to speak. Isen confesses he thinks he became a monster earlier. His friend stares back, completely unconvinced, waving it off and telling him to just hurry up. But Isen insists it is true, pointing out he is not even hurt, when 3 more students suddenly enter the store. His friend shoves a snack at him, saying this is more important, but Isen recalls his friend watching him from the containers. Annoyed, the friend tells him he gets the point, but then a sudden realization hits him. He remembers hiding, watching the chaos unfold, and seeing the terrifying creature with its red core. Back in the present, he stares in disbelief, asking if it is true, while a girl with glasses from the other group looks over, confused. Isen confirms it, admitting he cannot explain what happened, and his friend grabs him by the collar, shouting they have to go. Isen's friend suddenly grabs him, saying something is more important than food, but a hand abruptly stops him in his tracks. A girl with glasses asks for a moment of his time, yet he coldly dismisses her, claiming they are not friends. Her outstretched hand is left hanging in the air. As the 2 boys walk away, she watches them go. And Isen's friend asks if he was being held against his will. This girl quietly admits she was bullied by them, prompting Isen to question why he is hearing this now. From the shelves, another student silently listens in. This backpack student tells her to wait there for them to return, but the eavesdropper completely misinterprets their conversation, his eyes widening with the belief they are plotting a betrayal. In his mind, he sees them harassing the girl, and he suddenly explodes with rage, screaming at them to back off. This backpack student yells at Isen, shocked by his behavior, while a female student tells him to hold out until she gets back. A masked man suddenly appears, questioning another student's conversation, causing a gray-haired boy to angrily confront him. Isen's friend steps in, telling the man to stop the nonsense, but the newcomer clenches his fist, vowing to teach him a lesson. Both boys watch, bewildered by the sudden hostility. This masked man drops his bag, dismissing any outside threat, his face contorting with rage as he makes a stand. Utterly confused, Isen wonders what could have set him off. Meanwhile, under a clear blue sky, the battle outside rages on. A severed monster arm flies through the air, as the slender beast stands over its fallen, impaled rival. This defeated creature stares up, its core exposed in its mouth, and the victor stomps down, shattering it completely. This defeated beast's hand twitches one last time, its black core flying straight toward the victor, who opens its maw to absorb the raw power. It swallows the sphere whole, a new strength surging. This transformation begins almost instantly, as it takes a heavy, deliberate step forward. A thick, armored shell erupts from its back. Meanwhile, the girl in the storeroom demands an answer, but the hulking student seems just as confused. She repeats her question, already scanning for a weapon, her eyes landing on a bin of baseball bats, but the large student panics, claiming he is a teacher. Unconvinced, she grabs a bat, ready for a fight. He frantically explains he was hiding when another student stumbled in, and that the boy who carried Yuji here simply abandoned her. This hulking student insists he was only checking on Yuji's condition, but the girl's face hardens with suspicion and disgust, as her eyes catch a detail that exposes his lie, a silent, damning piece of evidence against him. His expression twists into a vicious snarl, his cover blown, and in a flash she swings a bat directly at his head, knocking him to the floor with a single decisive blow. Shaking from the adrenaline, she tries to steady her breathing, her gaze then falling on Yuji's unconscious form. She rushes to her friend's side, desperately trying to wake her, then struggles to lift her, determined to get them both out. But a hand suddenly grabs her from behind. The man is back up, his arm wrapping around her throat in a powerful chokehold. He squeezes tighter, his face contorted with pure rage, and her vision begins to blur as she struggles for air. Inside the store, a hulking student holds another captive, his face contorted in rage as he screams, declaring he will do whatever he pleases now. This brute then grabs another victim, threatening anyone who interferes, completely lost to his violent impulses. But a monstrous hand suddenly appears at the door. As a crowned creature steps through the frame, it drops a bag to the floor with a heavy thud, its human form revealed, vowing to punish the brute. This masked boy, still bloody, is baffled by this new hostility, while a girl with glasses tries to calm her furious companion, reminding him they need to focus on gathering food. From the aisles, another student watches their exchange. This group's leader hands her a bag, then calls out to the observer, whose attention is now fixed on learning more about Isin. Isin's friend asks what the others are saying, and Isin simply tells him to follow his lead for now. They glance back toward the container, worried about Yuji. Suddenly, the hostile student from before blocks their path, cracking his knuckles and vowing to teach them a lesson. Isin's friend questions if he is really going to fight them, but Isin points to the rage in his eyes. They have no choice. A sudden thought crosses his friend's mind, another option. He whispers for Isin to try using his monster powers, leaving Isin terrified by the dangerous gamble. Before he can answer, the aggressor throws a heavy punch, a blow so powerful it stuns Isin's friend completely, and the attacker immediately winds up for another strike. This fist flies, but Isin's friend expertly dodges underneath, turning back with a fierce, determined glare. Isin's friend is suddenly lost in a shocking memory, his mind plunging back into a moment of utter despair. He recalls standing alone in an endless, dark void, struggling to piece together the sequence of events. His one driving thought was to not become a monster, a resolve so strong he had chosen death instead. But a terrifying, spherical presence overwhelmed him. He panics, wondering if he was the one who destroyed it, when another memory suddenly clicks into place. A path of light had appeared out of the darkness, revealing the transformed girl Kim Sujin at its end. His desperate attempt to save her triggered his own change, and though he cannot explain why, he accepts the truth. Now his path forward seems terrifyingly clear, his eyes fixed on the beast outside, his purpose found. In a dark void, a foot steps onto a glowing line, leaving a single decisive imprint behind. A vision of a monstrous beast flashes before his eyes. Isin's friend Jingu walks a path toward another student, Sujin, who turns around, completely unaware of his plan. He steels himself, believing it is his turn to become a monster, clenching his fist as he vows to protect Isin. But Sujin's form begins to twist, calling out his name, leaving Jingu stunned by this sudden turn of events. Her legs contort as she stumbles toward him, and he backs away in pure terror from her advance. With a monstrous snarl, she grabs him by the collar, threatening his life, then tackles him to the ground with incredible force, pinning him down while screaming at him to get out of her space, her hands wrapping tightly around his throat as he struggles to breathe. In his mind, Isin's friend is suffocating, desperate to escape. He is trapped in a chokehold, seeing a path of light below, his strength failing as his hand goes limp. A vision flashes through his mind, a monster's core in the sky, and he snaps back to consciousness, gasping on the ground. Clutching his chest, he wonders what just happened to him, contemplating if he has to endure that experience again. His face sets with grim determination. He considers returning to that strange mental space, but the memory of a monstrous attacker stops him cold, filling him with doubt about surviving another encounter. If the path out does not appear, he will be trapped forever, a thought that terrifies him more than anything. Rejecting that fate, he throws a wild punch in the real world, catching his aggressor completely off guard. Isin's friend lands a solid counterpunch, leaving the aggressor stunned by his monstrous strength, but something about his opponent's gaze seems off. This bully stares back, his expression shifting strangely, his eyes widening with sheer, unexplainable terror. In his mind, he sees the boy with a monstrous friend, a terrifying vision of claws and a gaping maw. This crowned creature seems to stand right behind him, offering aid. Meanwhile, the gray-haired boy taunts the girl with glasses, leaning in to ask a strange, personal question. He whispers something that makes her flinch away, but his attention is suddenly caught by a nearby sound. Back in the aisle, the bully screams for someone to save him, as a spray of black blood splatters against the wall, revealing the crowned monster pinning him down, begging for mercy.